1, 2, 3 podcast.
Hey.
That's how I'm going to open up that today. All right, this is the second episode, or attempted an episode for the By the Bowl podcast. Today it's just two of our panel members. Me, Anthony Gomez, or Tony Gomez.
And me, Brian Studley, or Brian Studley. Hey,
he's a guy.
He's a joker.
He's a joker guy. Speaking of Joker, we're going to have a nice little segue into the conversation.
I like how you
here.
did that.
Yeah,
I like how you worked.
I'm pretty proud of it. I'm going to edit it out so people don't know how proud I am of that. So, I guess, what was it, this week that this picture came up?
Yeah, just over the weekend.
Just over the weekend?
Yeah.
I get all these people texting me, and I see all these articles coming up. Everyone's talking about the new Jared Leto picture as Joker. And I looked at it, because I Googled it right away, and tried to see what it was. And then I look at this picture, and then I double checked it. I was like, wait, was that it? Was that it? Oh, that was it. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, you got to do a double take. I hate to say it. I mean, the way that I saw it was sort of somebody just like bitching about it on social media. Just
oh, really?
So I'm already like injected with a negative vibe about what's going on.
Yeah, it sucks. But you know why you got to do that? It's just, but I guess it's hard to be neutral about everything. You want to be like, well, I'm going to show people this and let them know immediately that I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
And they should too.
Well, that's what the social media is about, right? This is where I stand, people.
Yeah.
Like, fucking hashtag no regrets or whatever. So you get that bad vibe, and a lot of people, I think, automatically were just like, oh, wow, I didn't know that the Joker was a Hot Topic manager or whatever.
With some grills.
Yeah. I don't know, man. What do you think? Initial reaction?
When I took the double take, I didn't like it at first, but I mean, looking at it, it does looks very. I guess it pops out in your head. It kind of stands. Obviously, they're going for a new sort of unique look to it.
Yeah,
it does. It is sort of reminiscent of someone that would work at a Hot Topic. And just like the color of hair in the picture too. Hopefully, it won't be that bright in the actual movie for the Suicide Squad, but
yeah, kind of powerful.
Yeah, just powerful a little green, too much of that green, and then just the tattoos, like all the ha-has. Is that what the character design? Let's give us some tattoos. What would the Joker have tattoos of? Right. What does he do? He laughs a lot.
Yeah, I something that just sort of caught my attention. Somebody was saying would the Joker really sit there for a tattoo? Like. I mean, but seriously, I guess maybe, but it sort of changes his character, like, altogether, though, to me. You know what I mean? He's making it more about himself as opposed to, I know he likes the theatrics, but that damage down the forehead is unforgivable.
Yeah, that immediately bugs the shit out of me. Like, damaged? Come on.
Right?
Is Joker gonna... I don't know if Joker's gonna pull that move. And then there's, like, the Joker grin on his other arm, and it's like, oh, there's this cool throwback to the comics.
Right.
And it just doesn't work. Like, and the glove, too. Like, what the hell is that glove made out of? It looks like it's made out of fucking scrubs.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those anally... searching your anal cavity sort of situations. But, dude, like, I saw some, like, people posting other stuff, too, that actually just, like, take off all of the tattoos.
Yeah.
And even with the grill, I guess, like, it was alright. If it's more of, like, a rotting teeth thing, that's cool. But, you can even see here, like, when you get back towards the wisdom teeth a little bit further down, they're just regular teeth.
Yeah. No, it's a grill situation.
Is this DC just reaching?
It just seems like that's what it is. They really can't get a handle on it, They're trying to go for gritty. They're trying to bring these characters into real life in some way that seems believable, like this guy would exist. But this is just a little too over the top for me. I don't like it. And one thing that really bugs me is I don't know if that is a tattoo or it's like something over his left eye, and then sort of in his left eye it looks kind of like a crack.
Yeah, right.
What the hell is that? What is that? Is that some little eye makeup that Joker puts on every day? Is that a tattoo? It's just a really faint line. It's like, oh, this is gonna look kind of cool.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's I don't know. It's sort of Joker off-putting. Maybe I should find a better adjective, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see though.
You see the beginnings of a tattoo on his stomach too?
If that's
Stub
Thug
tattoo on
life,
his
I'm gonna
stomach,
be
too.
very upset.
Yeah, so I mean, what is it? It's got this classic looking text on there. What's going on with that?
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, he's supposed to be the villain, or they're all villains in
Yeah.
Suicide Club, but he's the one that they're going teaming up against.
Oh, really? I haven't read enough about this. This is one of the first major things that I really looked into, and I mean, okay, if we're coming back to the tattoos thing, and Joker's a guy with tattoos, I can kind of see maybe Joker carving something into his own skin.
Totally. Scars would be...
Some like scars, like prison tattoo that he just does himself because he's bored. Like, if the Joker had like a rubber duck on the back of his left hand that he just put there because he was bored as shit one day, I'd kind of believe that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Totally. Right. And you know what? I mean, you're saying this, and it's like, they probably could have used that, but these are too good.
Yeah.
He didn't do that.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, and you know what? I guess last thing that I dislike about this is the perky nipples. The Joker that I know,
He'd have some old
pepperoni,
hairy sausage things going on.
Damn it! But it's interesting though, because I mean, all right, Heath Ledger becomes the Joker. People sort of bitch about it.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Leto gets cast as a Joker, and people are like, "All right, this is awesome." But like when they actually reveal shots for it, like it's sort of like the opposite effect here. It's like,
sort of takes it back down.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much they've actually shot into it. If there is time to sort of fix it a little bit, and this is kind of like a tester.
Yeah.
I'd say do that.
Should go ahead and think about it.
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, I don't know when does Suicide Squad even come out?
Hell if I know. I would maybe early next year. No.
I remember someone sent me a link to like the DC forecast for this 2016. So, okay, so this is done. This is how he's gonna look.
Get used to it, people.
Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. I'd like to see DC come out with something that works.
Yeah,
I have a lot of high hopes for Batman v Superman, Superman v Batman. First when I saw the trailer for Batman v Superman, it was after the Star Wars trailer, so I was really, really just high up on the Star Wars trailer. I was like,
totally.
And then I watched that, and it's like, whatever. But then I came back and I watched it, and I was like, okay, there's some good stuff here. There's some stuff I really like. I like where they're going with it. It's still dark and fucking gritty, but it seems like there's enough going on that it could be interesting.
You know what? And I can't argue with that. And the fact that, according to IMDb and sources and stuff, I mean, you're going to have Wonder Woman in there at some point. You're going to have Aquaman in there at some point. These are all characters that I like.
What's that guy? Momoa, Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I was like, that's perfect. That's great. It's great casting. The actress that's Wonder Woman. I mean, this is obviously not a criticism that's new or fresh. Everybody's been saying it.
Yeah.
She's scrawny, Wonder Woman's she's a beefy lady. She can kick Superman's ass.
And you bring this up, and I had to, I don't know, maybe I need to get better at these conversations with my girl. But I'm trying to describe what Wonder Woman is to me, Yeah. And while I'm doing it, I'm coming off as this, chauvinist fucking problem. Oh, no, but she's got, and it's all like, and, I don't know, but it's true though, right? Like, she's stacked.
Yeah, she is.
And this chick is not. So who knows? I mean,
it's more of a mythic strength. But I get what you're saying about that though. When you're explaining certain things like your own internal concept of a Wonder Woman, and you're explaining it to a woman, and you're just like, wait, I guess that is kind of shitty.
It totally is. Because there's still this 11-year-old in your brain that's like...
It's like, this is what I want to jerk off to.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yeah. I'm like, man, like Psylocke and back in the day, I don't know, whatever. Like, they used to draw...
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about, when it moved for the first time or whatever. I was probably reading a comic book. But yeah, you lower your expectations with this stuff, like the Batman v Superman stuff. I gotta say right off the bat, I like the voice modulation on.
That was cool.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that was directly from the comic book they're basing it off, right?
That he actually...
Yeah, the comic book that, the storyline for this movie is based on.
As far as his outfit and stuff?
No, like the little speech that he has with the voice modulation. It's like, do you bleed?
Yeah, that sounded familiar.
I wish I should have queued that up because I forget exactly which one it was. I'm sorry that I'm a terrible, terrible comic book nerd that I don't know this right off the bat.
Absolutely terrible.
Let's see, Batman.
Yeah. I just want it to be a good movie. I don't think anybody, unless you're really hating on DC, and if you get into sort of like a silly fanboy argument about it, like, nobody wants to see a shitty movie. Nobody wanted a shitty Green Lantern.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I had a feeling. I never bothered to watch it in theaters. You know about some of them, and the Green Lantern, I knew. Even if Ryan Reynolds, like, he's not a terrible Green Lantern.
No,
he's not.
They need to do the Jon Stewart storyline.
Yeah,
I think that's the way that they're gonna go.
That was, I mean, as a kid, I only read certain comic books. I had some Supermans, I had some Spider-Mans, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't really get into it until I was a teenager. So growing up, my first memory of the Green Lantern was Jon Stewart's Green Lantern in the Justice League. And that was a badass Green Lantern.
Right.
And probably, you know, for me, that's the Green Lantern. That's what I think of when I think of it.
And you know what? That's funny that you bring that up too, because I mean you're gonna have generations coming up here that you know, and to be honest, who's reading? Are kids reading comics?
I don't think it's
probably not.
I'm sure it's a hard time, because if you go to a comic book store now and you open up any one of these comics, you know, browsing the gallery, and the guy's behind the counter hoping, God, I hope they fucking buy something. It's just an advertisement every 2 pages, you know, because they just got to whore the shit out of these comic books to keep them going.
It's just well, I mean, I guess I don't know, like our age, like, you know, early 90s, mid 90s, maybe even the late 90s. I mean, you had advertisements and stuff, but
okay. Yeah, I was just coming back to the comic book. Because I wanted to say that it was based on this comic book, but I didn't want to say it without being 100% sure. But it's based on The Dark Knight Returns. That's the comic book.
Is that what they're really?
Yeah, it's that's what the film is based on.
Yeah, I mean, it's great.
The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah,
so they're gonna do like the mutants and stuff. It's that one, right?
Well, let me see what the characters were in that one.
They get like spikes in their heads and like the little.
Yeah, the mutants are in it. I don't know if they're doing that in a movie, but the mutants are in that comic book.
It was really good. Yeah, Frank Miller, just dark as shit. But I mean, let's look at the track record here for Zack Snyder, okay? Because this is Snyder's again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, people, if you're listening to this, like, I don't have a pot to piss in as far as this is concerned. I've never made a feature film. You know, I'm just a fan. I loved Dawn of the Dead remake back in the day. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you got to have respect for 300 when that first came out. Watchmen.
Well, I loved the Watchmen.
Yeah.
I loved it.
But it just seems like there's a certain point where he just misses the mark. And I don't know what like, if it's just stylistically, if he just has shit writing. Because is it David Goyer? Writing this?
It's Goyer.
Once again, you know, these are professionals. Mm-hmm. You know, and they've made money.
And Chris Terrio.
Chris Terrio. Is that spelled like The Riot?
It's spelled like Cheerio with a T.
Oh, well, that's no fun. Yeah, you know, it's just something that falls flat, you know, and I was always, like, as a kid, I don't know, I preferred Marvel a little bit more just because I always loved Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, as a Spider-Man fan, like, it's...
You gotta wonder now, though. It's like people of a certain generation, Zack Snyder's included in this. It doesn't seem like they're able to get better with age, you know? Like, directors, people that are coming out with movies they're not aging like a fine wine. They're like a beer. Well, I guess you could age beer, so that's a crappy enough. But it's just like people like Scorsese, they can keep coming out with good shit, you know? It's not the pinnacle, it's not gonna be fucking Raging Bull every time. But I mean, fucking shit. What was the last movie that came out with DiCaprio?
Jesus.
How can I not think of it?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, I loved that fucking movie. I loved it.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna hit it out of the park every time, I guess. It just seems like someone like Scorsese from that generation, they can you know, take one that didn't really go so well, kind of like was that one on the island?
Yeah, Shutter Island, which was delayed and delayed and delayed.
They had all kinds of issues with it, and it just did not. I mean, I didn't really enjoy it.
I didn't dig it, but there are people that really like that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but you know, based on whatever my narrow perspective is,
right?
It seems like directors from that period they can keep going. You know, it's up and down. It's a line graph. They keep going. This is one they did really good. And maybe it doesn't hit whatever their classic was, but you know that's the nostalgic value about it. But it seems like people like Zack Snyder, they just keep sort of hitting a downward spiral. Like, they can't get back to whatever it was that made them good. And I think maybe it's the studios and the way they're investing money and trying to control these things. But
yeah, I think that there's a lot. I mean, okay, first of all, the fact that we're comparing Zack Snyder and that's one thing. But I mean, okay, just say like a director from that time, right? Like, you know, you're coming up through like, you know, late '60s, early '70s, like. You're able to, or you're taking risks at that time, and more people are, like creatively, like a little bit darker tones. And he's an established director, you know, and people are gonna throw money at him just to make stuff for the most part. I mean, I don't know, but he's allowed to sort of take these risks and fail. Whereas, like, I think if Snyder just didn't make any money for something, I mean, you'd never hear from the fucking guy again.
So that's got to be what it is. Then it's just you have to have had enough time to be established and be like the guy that controls everything.
Yeah.
You have to be the guy that everybody's like, I'm going to see that guy's movie because I know I like what that guy does. That guy has a long history of coming out with quality shit. But now, if you fuck up once, you're done. It's exactly how it is. It's like a hit or miss. Yeah. You got to hope you keep hitting it, and you're not going to hit it every time. But then you got people like Michael Bay who just fuck up every movie, and they keep getting work, and
he makes money, dude. People, and that's the thing. Like, we can sit here and get pissed about, just people being dumb and paying to see these movies.
Yeah.
But they do. I mean, those.
How they perform, I guess.
What do you?
I don't guess. I know they perform. Yeah. I know they make money.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get his way and all that good stuff, but. What can you do? Like, I'm not expecting much. I mean, from this. We started out talking about Suicide Club, I guess, and that's I don't know if they have the same writing team. Like, because I know like Nolan produces to a degree, right? Christopher Nolan he's got his hand in this.
I know he does at some point, but I'm not sure. It's probably like at least consultant at some level, but.
Yeah, right. They got him on retainer over Warner Brothers. It's like, Chris, this movie sucks. What do we do?
Help us.
It's like, I don't know what he's
Well, Suicide Squad is David Ayer, which I don't.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
I mean, his IMDb page looks like someone who was in a metal band in the '90s.
I like
the bald man with a goatee. Okay, well, this guy did Training Day.
Well, all right. Yeah, but
he did Training Day. Now he was the writer on Training Day, though. That was.
I think he directed it, though.
That was directed by Antoine Fuqua.
I made that up. Yeah, you're right. Okay, he directed Sabotage, which I've actually. Is that Schwarzenegger one?
Really?
Yeah. Oh, 5.7. Well,
he directed Fury, and I never saw that, but I heard it was good.
I heard, right? Even though it's like zero interest, I guess, but whatever. These guys are just trying to make a buck and make something cool, and hopefully they can deliver. I don't know. I guess sort of. Oh, he's from Illinois. He's from Champaign, Illinois.
Illinois.
I'm from Chicago, people. which is a part of Illinois. The rest of Illinois is just fucking cornfields. I don't know. But yeah. All right. Yeah. This actually, I guess, a last little thing, DC Universe that I found interesting. I didn't know. Was that Josh Hartnett was originally cast as Batman for the Christopher Nolan series.
Really?
And he turned it down.
Wait, wasn't that like right around the time he sort of was falling off? Like,
right, he made that movie with like Harrison Ford being LA Cops or something, and sorry about it.
What was the plan there?
I don't know. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna wait 10 years and I'm gonna make that. What is that? Penny, what the hell is that shit? Penny Dreadful.
Penny Dreadful. I mean, I heard the name, but
it's all right. It's just a show. Anyway, but he hasn't done anything. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, he had like cameo in Sin City, like 2004, and then he just fell off the face of the earth. Poor guy.
Poor bastard.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, an interesting fact about one of the other writers that's on Suicide Squad. As far as his credits are, he's credited for 3 episodes of Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Like 90s?
Like 95, 97.
Fuck out of here, really?
Yeah, and then he had a Avengers Confidential, which I'm pretty sure is a animated movie.
Like they're all just in street clothes
Yeah.
and
And then Punisher No Mercy. So that's, I mean, for that guy, that's a huge deal. Getting to get on like an actual full-on feature that they're coming out with.
yeah, I mean, if
He's got 4 writing credits total. There's Spider-Man, and there's Punisher No Mercy, a short, Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and Punisher, which came out 2014, and now Suicide Squad.
that's
Ross Andrew.
good for him, man. You know, he's obviously it's in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
That's weird though because he's got Spider-Man and then he did nothing
Yeah.
for almost 20 years.
Like, what happened? And then he just, all right, well, let's give him this thing. If that works out, give him Suicide Squad. I don't know.
Wow, dude. And then this is weird. Art department, he did a movie in 1979, and then he didn't do another one until 2010. This is just, he just does it for fun. He didn't even-
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I gotta wonder about like how writing for those things works. Like, how much money are you really getting? Is the writer getting some sort of back end deal most of the time? Because I assume not.
Right. I mean, you already have your original story. I mean, you're just sort of like slapping this thing together, aren't you? If somebody came up with these characters,
You're just like, this is how it's gonna look when someone animates it.
yeah. Well, you gotta make a buck somehow, I guess.
I guess so. But I mean, I don't know. That's you know, my take on the Joker.
Yeah. So right, but I guess we're
coming
both
out.
sort of a little negative about it. But
Yeah. Who knows? Because it's one of those things where, I mean, yeah, the Suicide Squad has some pretty big characters in it, right? But I really don't know much about what the story's going to be, where it's headed. I just
be
know
honest.
Jared Leto is the Joker.
I just
and
want to see
David Harbour's
Harley
the Joker.
Quinn like in the flesh.
Yeah,
You know?
that's it.
Um,
Who's casted for that? Because that's
some woman I never heard of, but whatever, dude. Yeah, right. They just wanted
Margot Robbie.
You get your Mr. J in there.
Oh, she's the chick from Wolf of Wall Street. That is great.
His wife,
Yes.
mother of
Yes.
God.
Margot Robbie. God damn it.
Oh dear.
I didn't know this, but Margot Robbie is 2 years younger than me.
How does that make you feel?
Kind of bad. I'll be honest with you. She's got this sort of classier Jamie Presley look to her, you know?
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's fucking hot. That's the thing.
Second time Wolf of Wall Street came up, it's left an impression, especially when she's, spread an eagle there.
Yeah.
I don't know what, dude. And he's just caving, and you
Yeah.
understand why.
Yeah.
You're like,
It's like, oh, it's like ruled by the bullet. But okay. I mean, that definitely piques my interest a little more, knowing that she's playing Harley Quinn, because Harley Quinn, definitely one of the earlier childhood, like, I didn't even know what it was at the time, but
It's
Harley Quinn,
still
goddamn.
strong. Just a badass, like, little crazy chick.
Yeah.
Who's, like, unbelievably loyal at the same time,
She's got that fucking accent.
Yeah.
Mr. J.
Yeah. Always talking shit. Yeah, I hope they do a good job with that, and,
Yeah, I mean, if it works out, fucking, that's awesome. Will Smith is dead. Okay, obviously, I didn't do any research. Anyone listening to this?
Will
I'm
Smith!
so sorry. And if anyone's listening to this that actually knows about these things, apparently, I'm a dumbass. Will Smith's playing Deadshot in this.
Yeah? Yeah?
Like, what the hell?
Well, they had...
How is that not the first thing I heard?
I'm surprised you haven't, to be honest, because they had, is it Tom Hardy?
Mm-hmm.
Mad Max? He was initially on, I think it's like Captain Boomerang? Or something like that.
That's one of the most ridiculous bad guys of all time.
He was one of these guys, and he just backed out. Like, I don't know, for whatever reason. I like that guy.
Well, Captain Boomerang is someone I've never seen before. Jay Courtney. He was in Divergent, A Good Day to Die Hard. Oh, he was Bruce Willis' son in A Good Day to Die Hard.
I never even saw that, dude.
I mean, I didn't see it,
I
but
gave up.
he's done something.
He's been in
things.
movies.
He's been in things. Nothing that I've ever bothered to watch, but he's around.
And he's nearly 3 years younger than I am. How do you think that makes me feel? All right.
I guess moving on then.
We got Age of Ultron. International box office. I mean, it's almost like a given. Movies usually come out in Australia. We get them like a month or so, if not a week or two ahead of them.
Yeah.
Normally, not the case this time around.
Yeah. It's interesting they're doing that, but I guess it kind of makes sense because you just keep hearing about, especially with Disney, like they're trying to open up the everything on a universal level. Like movies are being made now just for certain audiences, like in China.
Yeah.
You know, look at the Transformers movie. It did crazy successful over there, and they even had clips that we didn't have in our American version of the Transformers.
Right.
And it's a huge market. It's constantly growing over there in China.
And they got to be smart about it. You know, there's a reason these guys are running Disney. I mean, they're just, you know, the juggernaut, and now that they have Star Wars and Marvel, I mean, I don't really know
They
what's
just own the world, you know. But the thing is, they have these things that I've loved ever since I was a child, and so far they haven't done anything to disappoint me. There's nothing I can be like, you know, fuck you, Disney, how dare you?
Right.
It seems like they're pretty good at the crowd pleasing so far.
Yeah, and that's sort of, you know, because you got your Disney haters out there, you know. But how do you come back from that? I mean, they've been doing it for years, and they're going to continue to do it and grow, and they're figuring out this overseas stuff. What was it, like over 200 million just this weekend?
Variety reports that it's 250 million production, opened at 201.2 million, and across 44 territories over Europe. So, I mean, shit.
You know, and obviously, you know, it's going to kill out here.
It's going to destroy.
But I mean, yeah, you're just basically when you have this stuff as Disney, you're just printing money. You know, like you just have a license to just print money. I mean, they're pretty much I mean, they're okay. Their budget was $250 million.
Yep. And they've already almost made their budget back just in European sales on opening weekend. Like that's insane. But you know, it's just got everything going for it, right? It's got Joss Whedon still at the helm, even though he said this project almost fucking killed him.
Did he say that?
Yeah, I know he was pretty haggard after this at the end of it. I remember reading that somewhere.
I can bet, man.
It's just like it's a crazy undertaking in the first place for them to have done the first Avengers movie, and then for it to be as successful as it was, and then having the sequel to that. It's just, I can't even imagine the amount of pressure that dude's under.
Well, if he made that much money, I mean, to begin with, you know, like, I don't know, this could be completely wrong, but you'd think that the studio would sort of like, you know, give him the benefit of the doubt in some situations.
I mean, I'm sure that he gets a little more leeway than other people because he just kicked so much.
Like
ass.
Edgar Wright
exactly. Not Edgar Wright. We don't care about that fucking guy.
Yeah,
he's got problems. Let him walk.
Get out of here.
But I'd assume at this point, Joss Whedon, he's got some clout. He's got some, you know, some Disney people kissing his ass, just waiting for the next hit, and it looks like it's already a hit, you know.
Yeah, and there's
is he signed on for another one after this? Is he doing the one where the Guardians of the Galaxy come in?
Well, I don't think that they come in. It's going to be like the Infinity War, I think.
Yeah.
No, the guys that are directing that are the brothers that directed the Winter Soldier.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But I really liked that one, so that's not putting it in bad
almost
hands.
caught me off guard how much I liked it.
It was really, really good.
But it was just, you know, fast paced. You know, that they got that hand to hand combat. I mean, you got to respect. I mean, that takes a lot of planning.
Yeah.
They've got tons of angles to work with. The editing is tight. Hats off to those guys. Maybe there's, you know, brothers. You know, maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You guys know each other. It's like you can just basically look at each other and know what you're doing. Yeah.
I mean, if there's someone that you're going to do something like that with, it just makes sense that a lot of times they're brothers, because if you can't ever get sick of your brother to the point where like, well, I'm just going to see this asshole again. You know? It's like, it's your brother, so you can go through that sort of hell and that creative, you know, that huge project, and then still come out and like, yeah, we did a good job.
Because it's your brother. Right?
Yeah, and you just know him. So it's like someone you want to go through the rift with, you know.
Yeah, I wish I had a brother, Tony.
I'm sorry.
You want to be my brother?
I'll be a surrogate brother. Totally.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's interesting too, because like, I'm glad to see this doing well, but you know, I think a good portion of the people that we know or go to school with are bummed about this, especially professors. Like, I have people ask me all the time, like, why do you like this? Why do you like these superhero movies?
It's funny because I sort of, I mean, the people I talk to usually are kind of into that sort of thing. So when I hear people shitting on it, I'm just like, well, you know, that's just what's popular right now, and I'm not complaining because I love the shit out of all those things.
I know, dude. Like, remember, like, I mean, like in the '90s, like even talking about an X-Men movie and stuff, it's like, oh man,
wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be swell? And then you're gonna get 3 and not like the second 2 as much.
yeah.
But they came back with the
you didn't like
Days
X2?
of Future Past.
You didn't like X2?
I mean, I liked X2, but you know, X1 is I remember it just setting the bar for like, oh man, this is a superhero movie, you know?
Yeah.
This is exactly what I wanted from the animated series. Who cares if Hugh Jackman's 6 whatever and Wolverine's supposed to be like 5 feet tall?
Totally. Right.
Like, that didn't bother me because it just, I don't know. Can you imagine just like a little buff, little short guy going around cutting people?
I think like initially when they were cast, because they were going to do it like in the mid-90s or something, they had cast Danzig as Wolverine.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Can you imagine? That would have been awful. If you ever get your hands on, I think it's a Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
Like you can only buy it at like, you know, little comic book shows or whatever. It exists, and it's the worst thing you've ever seen. But yeah, like I said, you know, good for them making dough. I'm excited to see it. You're bringing back people. The guy that's doing Ultron. What the hell's his name? David Spader. No, David Spader. No, Spader.
Spader?
Yeah.
Spader.
Spader.
Spads.
But yeah, I don't know.
That guy's one of those people that
He's a prick.
Yeah. He just looks like a prick.
Yeah.
He looks like a creepy, weird fucking prick. I don't know. Something about him just, I don't know, he's always creeped me out.
You know what, James Spader, that's his name.
Oh, James, not David.
When I was growing up, I used to watch, don't judge me, I used to watch that movie Mannequin a lot. Like, I don't know, like we had it.
Mannequin.
Yeah, it's got some, oh boy. James Spader's like, basically this like little greasy dude working in this mall.
So the mannequin comes to life.
Mannequin comes to life. You know, dude.
Bob's Burgers did an episode that was like, it was roughly based on Mannequin, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And who was the guy? That wasn't Bill Hader who voiced the dude who fell in love with the mannequin. I think it was someone else.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was like an SNL vet.
Yeah, it was an SNL vet. And he's just like, I used to, but in his version of it, he was a mannequin himself, and then he fell in love with his mannequin wife.
That's right.
Because they were mannequins together, but he came to life, and he lost her.
Yeah. Well, you know what, like, who is not going to get wrapped up emotionally in that sort of story? I mean, who hasn't fallen in love with a curvaceous? But that's, you know, because you've got, I don't know, what I loved the most as a kid, I don't know what this says about me, but there was, like, the black guy, like, you had this character, like, you still have it, like, flamboyantly gay black guy. You know, even, like, Kimmy Schmidt, they still got it. But in Mannequin, it was Hollywood, you know, and fucking Hollywood is great, man. I just love that stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Meshack Taylor was Hollywood. Oh, I've seen this guy's face before. What else has he been in?
It's one of those sunglasses, man. I don't know if they got a picture of that, but he had these rad sunglasses that were a sign of the times. But yeah, you know, you got a good cast. Whatever, dude. Fucking age. Everybody's gonna be talking about this anyway. But
yeah, I know. I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. Ultron's one of the main Marvel villains that I really don't know much about. So I'm excited to see, you know, kind of learn about him. And so I'm not like, oh, that's coming, or when are they going to bring that up? You know, I don't know what's going on. I just know it's going to be badass, and I can't wait.
Well, you know, they've sort of been building up towards it. Like they haven't like spared a section. They've been building towards it the whole time because, I mean, Tony Stark makes Ultron, and then you're going to have like the Vision beyond that, and
I think. I'm also wondering because I just did a little research on it because I said I knew nothing about Ultron, and I read that it was Hank Pym that was like responsible for Ultron.
Yeah, well, you're right. That's the way they're playing it up in the Avengers. Yeah. I don't think they are.
No,
I think they're going to put it all on Tony.
It's all on Tony.
Yeah,
it's all on Tony.
Yeah, because there's a you know, and you wonder why they make decisions like that. Like, you know, with Ant-Man and stuff, you know, it's not Hank Pym this time around, and you don't have the Wasp in there, which is a huge part. I mean, because Ant-Man's a fucking prick. You know, he's a bastard. He's he's like an alcoholic, like wife beating asshole. And
he's just like another Tony Stark, but not as cool.
Right. Never got married.
Yeah.
Tony obviously has access to rehab and stuff like that.
Tony will be fine.
Yeah. This is Tony saying that Tony will be fine. He'll be okay.
That's what I have to tell myself.
So yeah, there's that. And other news, tip of the cap, I'd have to say, to Funny or Die for the Dennis Quaid rant.
Oh man, that was so good. I completely bought it. I didn't think it was fake at all.
But yeah,
and Quaid just pulled it off. But obviously you do something like this and people would be like, "Oh, isn't Quaid cool for doing that?" But I'm just thinking, God, he's had to have done this at some point. Right. That's just too good,
Yeah.
And I heard he's not the nicest of dudes.
But that's the thing too, right? You hear it, and you start talking to people like, I've heard stories. And blah, blah. It's like, but good on him and good on those guys. I mean, they played fucking everybody. Like when they actually did release the video of it, when Funny or Die released the actual video, like they just preceded it with a bunch of videos from like Entertainment Tonight or wherever the fuck it is. Mr. Whitey McGee being like, "Is Dennis Quaid becoming a new Christian Bale?" Like, oh my god, and OMG, and they fucking got everybody.
Yeah,
I bought it.
I totally bought it, and the timing on it's pretty good too, because there was for a while, I feel like there was a trend of freakouts that were caught and like being released after the whole Christian Bale thing. So if this would have came out then, I would have been like, well, I don't know. It seems kind of, advantageous that these are all happening at the same time. Not advantageous. Not serendipitous.
No,
I mean serendipitous kind of works.
I like that word though.
Yeah, there's another word. I'll get it later. Folks.
Opportunistic. How about
yeah? Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
opportunistic. These freakouts would all be happening at the same time. But it's been a long time since there was a really famous freakout. And you hear about this Dennis Quaid thing, and you're just like, oh yeah, it's like I just I forgot I had a pack of powdered donuts in the back of this shelf here. And those things are good for at least 10 years.
That's what they did, though, right? They put it in their back pocket. Because, that was, when it first started coming out, and I guess I started doubting it, and people were like, man, it might be Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
And to be honest, from me to you, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with Jimmy Kimmel. I think he sucks, but...
I like some of the things he does. Like the little sketches and stuff that he has people do. They're funny,
Right. I think you're right. Like, he has a good mind for creating, stuff like that, but when you actually, put the guy in front of a camera...
Oh, yeah. He's got, this is just us, we're sitting there talking shit.
Who are we? Yeah.
Yeah. But when he's on camera, I'm not interested. I don't care. It's like Jimmy Kimmel will say whatever your bullshit is, so I can see what the video is going to be about whenever I watch it. Because all the things from Jimmy Kimmel show that I watch are just this is the new Jimmy Kimmel thing. This is the celebrities read mean tweets. This is parents telling their kids they ate their Halloween candy. Yeah, and, all that shit's just gold, and it's funny every time.
Mean tweets is
great.
It's so good. Mean tweets is really good, dude. Yeah, but in the same way though, I don't know because I don't watch a lot of late night the talk shows and stuff. I don't really do that. But within the same week, you had these Family Feud sort of sketches. You had one on that Jimmy Fallon did, and then Kimmel did one also. Within the same week, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Jimmy Fallon had himself and what's that guy from the Muppet Movie and How I Met Your Mother and stuff, tall guy, Jason Segel, yeah. And then another guy, and then the band from Jimmy Kimmel's band. I mean, it was funny, and they went up against each other, and they actually had Steve Harvey on there doing it. And I am guilty of, if there's nothing on and Family Feud's on, I'll put that shit on.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the only time I see Steve Harvey's Family Feud is when it's a series of gifts. It's a gift set of just some asshole, some dumbass saying the stupidest fucking thing. A naked grandma. I wouldn't want to see that either. You had to have seen their gifts. They're all over the damn place. But that's just Steve Harvey's face. He got that job so they could have Steve Harvey react to dumb people.
You're right.
At it. He's great at it.
He is. Yeah. Well, all right. So there's that. Right, and he's Family Feud is sort of a weird thing too, because you had that hosts back in the 90s.
What was that guy's name? Was he the kind of molester guy?
Killed himself.
Really?
Well, okay. Well, there's that guy, and then there was Louis, a stand-up guy with the gap in his teeth. Louis
Armstrong. Oh, Armstrong did. Louis Armstrong did it for a while. Yeah.
That's Louis Armstrong saying "What a Wonderful World."
No, it's Louis Anderson.
Anderson.
I'm Louis Anderson. Yeah. How did I get that? Louis Armstrong. I'm getting Louis Armstrong.
Nah, man, you had the A. I couldn't think of it. I would have.
Terrible impression. I'm sorry if that offended anyone that might actually be listening to this.
I liked it. You should.
Maybe I just talk that way for the rest.
Yeah.
Hey baby, how you doing? I see skies so blue.
But anyway, I guess I was going with this. Sorry, so Jimmy Fallon does that, and it's funny.
Yeah.
And watch Jimmy Kimmel, and it seems like, I mean, they're both are friends with tons of famous people.
Yeah.
They get people on there, but
And Jimmy Fallon's kind of the same thing for me. I don't really need to see his interviews, but he's good at creating content. He's good at coming up with sketches and things like the lip sync contest. That's
it's hysterical.
hilarious. What else? Fallon has a couple other ones that are pretty funny. And I think he has one where
The like
celebrities
egg smashing thing.
There's an egg smashing thing. There's the like impressions where they have a impression generator and they just got to both do it. But they have someone on there that knows how to do impressions. Like I saw Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna pull that sketch unless you know that they got at least one down.
They did one of the like lip syncing. No, it was impressions, but it was Christina Aguilera doing a bunch of different voices.
That was great.
The Cher Folgers coffee. It was just absolutely spot on, dude.
I mean, just I was saying. I mean, obviously they have to like run through everything they do on those shows beforehand, but it just if they got someone on there that has no experience doing impressions, I think that would be great for me. I'd like to see that.
Somebody doing bad impressions.
Yeah, someone just doing really, really terrible impressions. They've got no talent vocally whatsoever. And it's just like, oh, that's what that sounds like. That sounded like a frog, but I don't know.
That would just be the end of their career then. They'd just be exposed.
Or it would open them up and people would find them vulnerable.
Sure.
I don't know.
No, maybe for some people.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so Jimmy Fallon does that. Jimmy Kimmel rips him off, but Jimmy Kimmel has all of the Avengers on there.
Yeah.
In his. And he's got no Steve Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me when I tell you that you do not want Jimmy Kimmel running your Family Feud. It was just a complete fucking mess. Steve Harvey is there to crack the whip, keep the people in line, like, what you goddamn...
And it seems like, it's funny that you say crack the whip, because I did see Kimmel's Family Feud, because it had, everyone from Ultron, so I watched it.
Right.
And they were just, like, dicking around the whole time, and, you kind of want to see that, too, but...
Right.
I don't know. It was a different way of doing it, but I thought it came out kind of funny.
Well, what can I tell you, man? Watch Jimmy Fallon want to get back to me.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Jimmy Fallon's running all over the place, acting like an ass. I feel like we've given this. I just love Family Feud. I got some.
That's what you're gonna pull out of this conversation.
It's my agenda.
Stoodley loves Family Feud.
What are you gonna do about it?
What else we got on the ballot? I guess we could, since we're talking about things that are happening.
Yeah.
Let's go into Star Wars. Why not? Because we
Star
started.
Wars.
Yeah, no, we started talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
And
it's trailer season, folks.
It's the trailer season. When I watched that, I knew it was out, and I could have, I think I was at school or work at the time, and I could have sat back and watched it on my phone just so I had it. But I was like, no, I'm gonna save this.
Show some respect.
Yeah. I want this to be as good as it possibly can be for me. Just let it build up as much as it can. So I go home and then I queue it up on my laptop, and then I hook up my laptop to my TV. I got the sound blaring, just ready to go.
Yeah.
I get a couple of my roommates, my cousins, in there, and to get ready to watch it. So we all sit down and watch it, and it was just fucking fantastic.
Yeah?
So good.
Really?
Yeah, I'm so glad that I saved it and just watched it on the TV and really, set the mood for myself, because it paid off.
So, okay, but where does the bulk of your enjoyment come from that trailer? Besides the obvious.
Yeah. If we're gonna don't state the obvious. Keep it. I gotta say, just the thing that really got me right away was the Luke. Maybe Luke's son, but it could be Luke himself.
Yeah.
Talking about my father has it, I have it, my sister has it, and you see that the mechanical hand going up on. That shit's never leaves you, never leaves your family. But then he just takes the hand and puts it on R2D2, and then you see that with the cloak on. It's like, it just
in the hand.
Yeah.
He's got his.
Yeah, he's got the what do you call it? It's not.
I just say mechanical. That's
mechanical
my go-to.
Prosthetic, whatever.
Way
Not
cooler than that,
animatronic,
though.
But it was great, and just the second you see that and everything, then just the action of everything going on with that voiceover happening, and then of course there's the end. But what about you? What do you think?
Well, I mean, first of all, I gotta say that the two trailers are different enough where you're getting. It's not. I don't think they're retreading any footage in either one of those, which I really appreciate. Honestly, is it the Star Destroyer? It's just laying there.
Oh man, no, that was such a good way. That was right in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? Oh man, that was so good. Just the you know, in the dune outside, you see
Yeah.
the dune, and then it pulls out, and you see the Star Destroyer. That was great. Yeah, you're right.
I just it was just a great visual,
Yeah.
and I just start thinking, you know, like Jawas immediately, like you know, they're gonna be on that shit.
They're all up in there.
It's just like
that motherfucker's picked clean.
right, dude. Just disintegrates over time. That thing had only been there for
And I mean, just thinking about it too, what a great way to set up the world, you know?
Yeah.
Just something like a Empire Star Destroyer is just chilling out in the desert somewhere.
Yeah.
Out on Tatooine. That was on Tatooine, right?
I would assume so because it's like the desert planet.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know.
I mean, it could be somewhere else. They got shitload of planets in that universe. But...
There's a couple, and that, I don't know. I love seeing the X-wings in action. Obviously, I don't know. They're on like this planet that's. It sort of reminded me. God, I'd hate to reference the newer Star Wars movies, but like the Wookiee planet that they're on.
Kashyyyk.
Yeah, and I like that. You know, rainforesty sort of what you know. I don't know, man. It's it'll be great. I like the fact that they've got this black dude that's he's a stormtrooper.
Yeah, getting a lot of screen time, both the trailers.
He's fucking good. It sounds like he's sort of like because right away, I mean, you see that this guy's in there and they're not clones anymore.
Yeah.
And he's sort of seeing what's going on, and I don't know if he's like an inside job sort of guy.
He always looks freaked out.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like
So something's going on.
startled.
Yeah.
All the time.
Let me take off my helmet and breathe heavily. In a different sequence.
I wonder how much you get paid for that.
I mean, fucking Mark Wahlberg does that in like every movie he's in. He gets paid a shitload.
How's your mother doing?
How's your mother for me?
Yes,
And that,
I know.
I feel like whenever I think of Mark Wahlberg, it's just him breathing heavily and like dealing with a difficult situation.
Even like Basketball Diaries. we gotta fucking get time. We gotta kill this guy. We gotta. He was awesome in that.
But yeah, I mean, getting back to Star Wars, I could not have loved that trailer more. I think it was everything that I needed it to be, and it was done well.
Yeah.
The first trailer, it was so, you're just kind of happy to be in the world again,
Yep.
It's kind of what you wanted when you heard The Hobbit was coming out. You're just like, oh man, we get to go back to Middle Earth.
Those
Awesome.
were the days. Yeah.
But hopefully they don't do that. I have faith that they're gonna handle this well. And the trailers they both look great.
Yeah.
But this one just I heard someone say this. I think maybe I was talking to you, but someone used the phrase "bone dry testicles," like I was bone dry down there or something.
Wasn't me, but
Somebody said that, and I was just like, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's just nothing left after that. That's a load blower.
I just, J.J. Abrams at the helm, obviously, that's really promising. They talk about all the practical effects that they're using, which is great. My question is,
that's the way, man.
Do Wookiees not age? Because,
Yeah, that's I thought about that too, because you look at Han, and obviously Harrison Ford's getting up there, and then Chewie's just hanging out, same luscious locks.
Yeah.
There's no graying in there.
No, right. Give me a couple gray hairs,
Yeah.
maybe. It's like little Moan gets a little bit more labored, He's right. He's tall. His joints got to be hurt.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
That heart's working overtime. That Wookiee heart. I don't know. I wish I knew more about the Wookiee. And actually, shame to say, I don't know that much about I know the Wookiees come from Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
I know they've got big ass crazy claws underneath those furry arms because they have to climb trees, and that's all Kashyyyk is, just big ass fucking trees. It's a forest planet. But I have no idea what the lifespan of a Wookiee is.
That's a good question.
Maybe they're like
Maybe we could
Saiyans.
start up an email and people could send us answers
Yeah,
to our
that'd be
stupid
great.
corrections you guys are assholes.
If we don't feel like Googling this and correcting ourselves on the podcast, you can do it in email and be as mean as you want. That's fine.
Yeah, we can take it. We're adults here. We have beards.
We're beardy. Well, I'm beardish. I think you and Jeremy got the beards going on.
Oh no, Jeremy, our fallen comrade for the weekend.
Yeah.
Does that make me sound like communist? Comrade.
Comrade Jeremy, no beard.
Where are you? His beard is.
Oh yeah, that's
It's something.
It's something to strive for, as I say. If you're a beard grower, if you
Basically,
aspire to beard.
we wouldn't get carded with this facial hair for cigarettes. Huh?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something to be proud of.
I mean, that's why I have to wear, whatever facial hair I can, man. Otherwise, I still get carded for everything. I think it's a short thing. It's heightist. Prejudice. Like,
People are heightist.
This guy doesn't have enough facial hair, and he's like 5'5". What the hell? Give me your card. Give me your card,
Right.
young man.
You're right, though. But you could, like in my case, I could be like, look at my legs. Look at my legs, man. Come on, dude. This is at least 20. I can
I
break
can
it.
pass for 18. Give me a break, man.
What about chest hair? How do you feel about that?
Is that doing anything for you?
It's something that'll work in our favor, though, maybe going forward.
Yeah.
The fountain of youth.
Yeah, you don't. I don't know. It seems like there's probably some sort of science to it. There could not be. It could just be my bullshit speculation. But I feel like shorter people live longer.
Yeah.
I want to say. I think we talked about this before. There's just less strain on the heart. You don't see too many 6'5" guys trudging around at 80. Just doesn't really happen.
You brought up a lot of points the other day. Shorter people are cooler, I think, was one of the scientific facts.
Just better.
They smell better, right? Their shit, it still stinks, but not
not
the
that
same,
bad.
not at the same level. And their cocks are closer to their ankles. So I think we're on the up and up here.
Yeah, I think we're doing good.
We're doing all right.
All right.
We got a pretty good subject coming up here next. You want to take a commercial break?
Yeah, let's take a commercial break. Beep.
Off in the distance, the game's dragging on. There's strikes on the batter, some runners are on. Then suddenly everyone's looking at me. My mind has been wondering, what could it be? They point to the sky and I look up above, and a baseball falls into my glove. I play right field. It's important you know. You gotta know how to catch. You gotta know how to throw. That's why I play in right field, way out where the dandelions grow.
As a proud sponsor of Little League Baseball, Pizza Hut welcomes all the kids who make it great.
Making it great.
1, 2, 3. We're back from the commercial break.
Hello.
All right, what do we got next? What's on the ballot?
Well, we had talked about something earlier. It's just, I don't know, just a sort of a broad subject. But, considering we've been on a horror drought here, and maybe growing up you get a little desensitized, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel like there's been a good horror movie,
Yeah.
in over 20 years.
I definitely think there's a couple that have tried and they've had good premises. Like we've talked about The Conjuring. I dug The Conjuring.
I agree.
I thought that they had a really good setup for it. I wanted to see more of that world and what's going on with it and what's going on with these characters. And then it just kind of crapped out at the end. But it seems like it's so hard to come up with a satisfying ending for a horror movie. Where are we going to take it?
Yeah, I appreciate a nice ambiguous ending too, I guess, when it comes to that. But maybe you're chasing the dragon at a certain point. I mean, you got to realize, we're, mid to late 20s, early 30s, nothing's really going to hit you the same way that, Exorcist hit you the first time or whatever it is.
Chucky, Child's Play. That scared the shit out of me for years as a kid.
Yeah, dude. If you had a My Little Buddy, which I did, and we were pals.
Oh, fuck that thing.
Starting out, we were real close.
You know what was a thing with that? It was I didn't have a My Little Buddy, but I had this. Do you remember Dinosaurs, the series?
Oh yeah,
That was
baby.
That was a good fucking. It was a baby.
Yeah, was it one of those ones from McDonald's?
Yeah.
Like the little
no.
rubber puppet?
This was a huge. This is like a really big stuffed toy, and then it had a pull cord in the back, and it would say phrases that he would say from the show. And you remember that thing? He had a creepy little voice. He was like, "I'm not the mama." And he was.
Well, he was a little asshole.
Yeah,
dude.
he was an asshole
that
in the
shit's
show.
on Netflix
Yeah.
now, and you watch it, and like, man, I didn't kill this
an
fucking
asshole.
baby.
But after I saw Chucky, and then I had that toy, I don't even know why. Like you look at that toy and you're like, all right, kid's gonna enjoy this. Just a big stuffed dinosaur baby with a pull string. But after I saw Chucky, I was like, I'm having none of that. I don't want that thing around.
No more pull string anything.
I just stuff him in the back of the closet. Let him hang out there. It was a pretty well made toy too. I had it until I was at least until my late teens, and it looked the same as it did when they bought it for me.
Did it have one of those things were like, I don't know, like any talkie toy that I had, like the box would run out after a while, so like it would go really fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
if you pulled on the string and then sort of like held the string for a little bit, then like the little, I don't know, whatever audio thing turns it inside its body,
Right.
it would just distort the voice and it sound like a fucking demon. You know?
Yeah, I had a Ren and Stimpy like pair like
Yeah.
that, like, and it was funny because Ren's like you'd pull on his navel,
Yeah.
and it'd come out, and Stimpy had like a little hairball that you'd pull out, but like I don't know, still, and I went to my folks' house this past Christmas, and they're still down there all dusty and dirty
Yeah.
and shit, and I pull on Ren's navel, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like. At least 5 times the speed. Like, you know, it's just fucking Ren just got an 8-ball and is flipping out.
Which I could see Ren doing. You know?
Yeah!
Seems like that's a character trait Ren would probably have.
They planned that. It's like, this with time, this is
He's only gonna
become
get
a
better.
problem.
This toy's only gonna get better.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I had like just like hearing you talk about the toys you got when you were a kid. Just thinking about some of the stuff I played with and I had for so many years. And toys back then, they just lasted forever. You know.
Yeah, you know, and you're right, dude. Like, well, first of all right, like we were talking about, you know, you were the first grandchild, so you were spoiled. Yeah. I was that, and also an only child, so like
you had
of
double
divorced parents.
Oh man, it's a triple threat
So
right
there's a little bit of competition there,
Yeah.
whether they want to admit it or not. But I mean, shit was kept, you know, like they wouldn't dare fucking throw some of my shit away, like. And that's awesome. Like, I'm benefiting from that now. Like, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's great, man. If I had, like, that set of Power Ranger toys, the very first Zords, just in great condition, somewhere in a box, oh, man. I'd pose it prominently in whatever space I'm living in.
Yeah. Why, well, if you're with somebody that accepts that sort of thing.
You gotta hope that she's okay with it.
Right. But yeah, fucking, yeah, those were the days. But yeah, horror movies, man.
Let's get back to the topic.
So... I don't know. I mean, what was the last horror movie you saw that, like, and I'm not saying, like, scared you, you know, but you just had respect for? Because that's really, I mean, Cabin in the Woods, okay?
Yeah.
It's not, like, I don't know, they sort of, you know, flip the genre on its head.
Yeah. I love that movie, but that's exactly what it was. It was sort of just not completely parodying horror movies. I mean, I guess in a sense it did, you know, it took these elements that are common in horror movies and said this is why it tried to give it some backstory. It tried to give it some, well, not really depth, but like a reasoning for it. Why the virgin always survives. Why the promiscuity leads to death.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I don't know, I'd say that's difficult. That'd be hard for me to say the last horror movie that I really had respect for. I think it's always I've never really gotten scared too easily watching things like that.
Yeah.
So it's mostly whatever one entertains me.
Yeah.
Most, you know?
And that's a fair enough criteria to have,
Yeah.
I think, right? Like, I cringe when I see, you know, and all right, to be fair too, I haven't seen this It Follows movie that people have been talking about. But I, you know, like, fool me once, blah blah, you know, all that shit. Like, there's a lot of horror movies that catch hype, I think, and then when I see them, I'm just, I don't know. Even with lowered expectations, knowing that like this could possibly be shit, it normally is. All right, but what makes me cringe is seeing, like, you know, a trailer on TV or whatever for a horror movie that's like, all right, well, this okay, well, what's this all about? And at the end, you fucking PG-13. It's like, no, why? What's the point?
Yeah.
Like,
How is that going to be done in a satisfying way?
not ever.
I mean, I assume that horror movies, like a lot of things, it's about making money, right? So if you're gonna make a horror movie, older people who can only see rated R movies are not going as much. I think so. It's a younger generation.
Got a point.
You know, it's like, I remember being a kid. You're in like junior high or whatever, and you want to take a girl to see a movie, so you go to see whatever scary movie. So it couldn't be R if you're doing that. And I feel like that's a lot of where that money comes from for those movies. Is young kids just going out to theaters to be like, yeah, get their jollies on, and that's because the money's coming from there. They can't have it be R because then they'd lose all these kids that are coming to watch these things.
You have a point, you know, and it's you know, it should be pretty clear to me, like, you know, but I guess a part of me just is like, you know what, I feel like movies that are making money, horror movies that are making money right now, like, just don't appeal to me. You know, it's for them.
Yeah.
But I feel like a real horror fan is going to recognize what's good and what's not. And
Yeah.
like, you know, you could be juiced up by the paranormal activities, like, but after a while, I think you're just lying to yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
But I gotta say, like, when that first Paranormal Activity came out, I dug it, man. I was like, oh, that was fucking great. Well,
Okay.
I mean, what it was a pretty good found footage movie. We'd already seen a bunch of those at this point.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it took it in sort of an interesting way, and just I think it was also what I knew about it. I knew that they had this really tiny budget. I think it was something crazy like $8,000.
Helps, yeah.
Yeah, just to rent this house and come up with these practical effects, and the fact that they accomplished what they did, it's, you know, it's kudos if nothing else. Like, hey, you did that. That's awesome. You made
Right.
so much fucking money off that.
Yeah.
I mean, what huge percentage they, you know, got their money back and then some.
And
because of
jobs for the future, you
just
know?
keep going.
Yeah.
But what really sucks about something like that with the Paranormal Activity guys is that they just had to keep doing that. You know, they came out with the.
Did
other
they really
ones.
just get pigeonholed into the?
That's what I feel like. But I mean, I don't know what they're doing now. I'd have to look them up.
Right.
But they had to come out with those other Paranormal Activity movies, and they tried, because if you watch the first one, and then I like the first one as a standalone. If it was that movie by itself, I'd be like, yeah, that's good. I'm glad that happened.
Yeah.
But then the other ones come out, and they have to sort of, you know, they have to compensate for the new budget and for like the larger scale, because you got to open up the world, right? You got to make it more interesting somehow. So
Yeah.
they're sort of coming up with backstory that, you know, what's it called when they retroactively fucks up whatever they established in the first movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Just so they could be like, well, this is what it's actually happening. It's been happening all
Doesn't
along.
make sense,
yeah, and it just
yeah.
doesn't make sense, and it fucks up the original story and whatever mythology they may have been able to build just on that. But I think it's because they weren't prepared for the success that they got. You know, they didn't have 3 movies lined up.
Who
they
was
probably made
prepared
this
for the
fucking movie.
success,
Yeah, exactly. But for something like that, you can definitely see what happens when you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt, you know, and you don't, especially starting out in this stuff. I mean, who knows? You know, some shit like that could happen. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be happy to get a few bucks in your pocket, but yeah, try to make it original and stuff. But I will say, like, as you're talking about it, you bring it up. Like, I got to give them credit at least for like the found footage stuff, which I mean. Like, enough is enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But they at least tied it into the script in like a tangible way where it makes sense that this is found footage.
Yeah.
Okay, like I don't know, dude. Like, you can't just be like, oh, my guy's walking around with the camera, my little nerdy friend. Like, he's just gonna fucking watch all
This is
this.
just a day in our life. What
Yeah.
happens? I don't know.
You know, they're making funny faces and
Yeah.
shit, and then they're dead. You know, like, so yeah, I'll give it to that. But I don't know, like, maybe I like something like a little bit creepier, something maybe creeping out, like, and I guess to a certain degree, like that. Insidious is I didn't enjoy that. But
Yeah, I did not take that movie. The reason I like watched it at all was because of the whole, you know, lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
You know what's it called when you astral projection?
Yeah.
Like I love that shit, and it's all really interesting to me. So I want to see a movie that someone makes about it. Yeah, of course they had to have done some research, right?
Right.
Probably gonna be kind of good. Maybe I'll learn something I didn't know about it in my own time of, you know, researching it or whatever. But it just did not pan out at all.
No, it wasn't satisfying.
Yeah.
But once, like they said, like the creepy sort of, like they're okay. Like you have like your jump scare, which is obvious, you know, like fucking dark corner, you know, whatever. But when they first show that like demon thing or whatever, like sort of like hanging out like in the top corner of like a ceiling, like out of nowhere, like that scared the shit out of me. And I don't know, to a certain degree, like, you just only, you know, there's only so often you can do that. You probably do it once a movie.
Yeah.
Like, if you're lucky, you do it well. But, I don't know, like, it's just not resonating with me for whatever reason.
Well, what's the last one that you really enjoyed? Like something that really...
You know, this is, man, it's tough. Like, I have a hard time because I automatically think of the horror movies that I love and that I own and that I watch, you know, like regularly, you know, the classics, you know, the Evil Deads, which aren't scary, but they hit that criteria where they're entertaining. And, you know, groundbreaking, you know, for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, the whole Day of the Dead, Dawn of the whole Romero series. You
Yeah.
know, it's not scary, but I respect it. Exorcist scares the shit out of me.
Exorcism.
Shining, I think, is just one of the best movies ever made. Like,
Yeah.
but still spooky to me. I mean, these are great movies. But I don't know, dude. Like, okay, how about this? I'll start off with this because a movie that scared me will be tough to think of. But horror movies that I liked, like that entertained me.
Yeah.
The Others, which actually might have been PG-13,
The Others.
with Nicole Kidman.
Was that Depp? Wasn't that?
No, it was Nicole Kidman carried it. But it was it was like right around that like Sixth Sense time. It was
Yeah.
like, what a twist, you know, like and you get a little twist at the end, like. But it was well performed and it looked great. And Nicole Kidman's a good actress, you know, great actress.
I definitely like looking it up. I definitely remember seeing this DVD cover to The Others, but I don't know if I saw it.
It's a good flick. It's a good flick. Prior to that, well, maybe not even prior to that, I enjoyed that movie Ravenous. Have you ever seen that?
Never saw that one.
About some like cannibals during the Civil War. Yeah, it's got like Guy Pearce and I don't know. It's a good movie.
You know one I really liked was Drag Me to Hell. I love that
Sam
movie.
Raimi,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Oh, it was so good.
totally. And an ending that like I
It was
almost want to
satisfying. It was
stand
just
up
all
and
just
yes,
great.
yeah.
And I had no interest in watching it. I didn't go see it when it was in theaters, but someone rented it, and then I'm sitting. We're watching. Like, oh, I expected nothing from this. I'm just sitting down because I got nothing better to do. But man, am I glad I did. I loved that movie. It was so good.
It's funny and it's over the top and it's
Yeah.
him getting back to his roots and
Exactly.
stuff. And you know, like maybe he can get away with that because he is Sam Raimi, and you know he made the Spider-Man movies, you know, and maybe these other guys that are trying to make these movies are like trying to do shit like that,
Yeah.
but they just can't get the fucking approval or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, just the amount of bullshit you have to go through to really accomplish something however it was envisioned in the first place.
yeah,
But I gotta do this, at least an honorable mention. It
Yeah.
wasn't a good movie, but it was definitely one that I enjoyed, and I'm kind of glad that I watched it. Orphan. Do you remember Orphan?
Orphan.
Yeah.
No, I've never seen Orphan.
Okay, so Orphan, it came out in 2009. It was, I don't think there was really much to it. There had an actress in it that I like seeing her. I just like her face. Isabel Furman.
I like you. I like your face.
I like her face. No, wait, it's not Isabel Furman. Okay, that's actually the chick who plays Vera Farmiga. Vera Farmiga.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
This is pretty recent, right?
Yeah, it was 2009. And it's all about this couple. They
Oh,
adopt
dude.
this kid, and the kid turns out to be like a 30-year-old woman.
Yes.
Who's like
Yes.
a Lolita murderer. Oh, it's
All right.
great.
Okay, dude. Yeah, man, that's 2009, you know? Okay. But it wasn't, all right, not scary, but yeah, what a fucking thing. Because she just out of nowhere, like,
Yeah.
she's got an old face.
Yeah.
Like, pops out.
When she starts rubbing the makeup off her face,
Yeah.
and you see the oldness. Oh man, that was a great scene. But also, Vera Farmiga was in The Departed. She was Matt Damon's love interest in that
Let
film.
me take a look at you. Oh, yeah, those eyes, huh?
She's got a look
that?
about her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely got to mention that as far as movies that I've enjoyed. But you know, for that genre, it's just what do you want to see that's entertaining? It just seems like it's mostly entertaining.
You know, and it's a lot of easier said than done, but I mean, it has a lot to do with writing and character development. I feel you obviously got to get a good performance, but I just think that like a lot of these movies. What could I use as a good example? Well, we were talking about it earlier. Okay, like what was that? The Haunting in Connecticut or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just takes itself too seriously.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it's not. It shouldn't be. It's a fucking B. You know, it's a B movie. Like,
Yeah.
if there was like a little like one of those like to the side, respect for your audience, like, you know, like look in the camera and be like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
come on, come on, guys, right? It's all in good fun. There's none of that, and it's just like if you're trying to like get me to believe in this sort of thing, you know, I'm looking at you 1408, you know, I don't know, man, like no dice, just
Yeah.
no dice for me.
And it's hard. Going back to the older ones, it's just those movies were made. I feel like, as far as technology and filmmaking it advances, it's going to go against the horror genre because it's like you've seen things that look to a certain extent real. So your brain's already registering like, okay, that's going to be 3D, that shit's fake.
Yeah.
So you're already expecting that. You already know. So you can't, as far as special effects go, horror has sort of accomplished, I think, most of what it can as far as practical stuff goes.
Okay.
So now it's what kind of fucked up thing can we think of and then try to realize on the screen without people being like, that shit's fake. You know, you're just constantly going against how advanced the technology of the time is, and it's going to hurt horror as a whole, I think.
But I mean, when do you just stop that? Because I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, another one, a movie that was semi hyped up is Mama.
Oh man, what? Okay,
Guillermo del Toro like produced it or something like that. And at the end, they totally do this CGI like fucking ghost thing. You have these two like little beast girls, not beast, but like they're just like wildlings. You know what I mean? And you have this whole CG like onslaught at the end, and it's bad. And you know, I just think about like a movie like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
1982, all practical effects. You've got good actors, you've got a good plot, like, you know, about isolation and cabin fever, and you get these just crazy tripped out, like, actual realized things. I mean, you read stories now, just fucking nightmares to realize.
Yeah.
And this is a money-making industry. You want it to be easier and all that stuff, but it's just lost all effect for me. And I think, like, in the middle of that, people are sort of losing, like, they're just like, all right, this movie... We're building up to this one thing, like, guys, this is gonna be so cool and so scary.
Wait for this payoff.
And it's not like, you know, the fucking chick on Game of Thrones getting the little bloody guy to come out of her vagina and kill a guy was scarier than anything that I've seen. Like, I don't know, man. You know, and at the same time, like, I'm just a prick. You know, I'm just hating it. You know, after a while, like, I get it.
I mean, you also got to think that. I don't know. This isn't based on any sort of actual knowledge on the subject, just speculation, as I think we've said many times here. But I'd assume that something as far as horror films, if a big studio is funding it, and you're like, this is what we got, this is what we want to make happen, this is what we need to realize, and they say we want to use practical effects, then most big studios, I would think, would say, no, we're going to use CG because that's like the cutting edge technology, and that's where we're going to put the money.
Right.
It's going to go in CG, but CG just doesn't look good a lot of the time unless you've got just mountains of money to pour into it, and even then it's like, I know it's CG. I know from a way it's moving that it's CG. It hasn't gotten there yet to where it's as good as a practical effect.
Yeah.
Like these studios, they just want to shy away from that, and they want to be like, this is the future, this is what we're doing. You know?
At the end of the day, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, it's cheaper to do the CGI stuff, and it's quicker. And I mean, that's just the way that works. But you know, we're sort of like, I don't know, maybe just sort of pissing in the wind, thinking about, oh, these days were better, and you know, this was done that way. You know,
it's gonna be that
the original Fright Night. Like, I don't know if you've checked that out. But
no, I really got to do that. But actually, I heard the new one wasn't that bad. I've heard some people say it was all right.
Had a good time with it. It was actually, it wasn't hard. You know, I don't know why. Like, people sort of hate on Colin Farrell a little bit.
Yeah. You just got a vibe about him that people, I feel like they like to sort of give him a hard time for whatever reason. I mean, what did he really do that was so shitty, right? He kind of seems like a douche, but whatever. How many actors don't seem kind of like douches? He had whatever sex tape that came out, and I know that was like a scandal and things like that.
Sex tapes, Jesus.
I'm glad that sort of simmered down, because that was it was bad when it's just like, oh, here's this so-and-so sex tape.
And I am disappointed.
I think who put the goodbye? I think, was it Kim Kardashian who sort of was like the last major sex tape?
She was the last sex tape whore, but this is the thing. Like, I don't understand why there's not more, because that's all right. I do understand
her career.
She set the bar so high.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like, you're not gonna get better than that, because she was just famous enough for people to be like, look at this attractive hot girl that's getting banged on tape. You can totally watch it.
Right.
And she was already semi-famous because she was like, the Kardashian daughter, and Bruce Jenner was her stepdad, and that's why. It's just because she was right there in that sweet spot where you gave enough of a shit and you're like, oh, she's attractive enough, I'd like to see that. And then after that, she just blew up.
What's that? I don't know. Like, that's depressing. I'm
just glad it's not something that it's not a trend. It doesn't, it seems like there's been enough time where that's not a trend. Yeah, Kim Kardashian's still a thing. Her whole damn family's still a thing, apparently.
Yeah.
You know, I guess to touch on the news of whatever with like Bruce Jenner coming out as a trans.
He's doing the transition.
Yeah. I mean, it's just. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on with that, and then, you know, power to him for coming out. If that's really what he's about, that's great. You know.
Yeah.
Because that's gotta suck. Especially for someone like him that you would. He's famous for being an Olympic athlete. I think, you know, even beyond the Kardashians thing, that's why you knew what that guy's name, because he won the most gold medals in history up until Michael Phelps. So that's a pretty masculine thing, I'd imagine. So it's kind of hard for that guy to come out that way. But I mean, just getting back to this, I'm tired.
Speaking of horror fucking stories. Okay. Like, all right. I had to pull up a list here because, I don't know, man. You drink beer pretty much every day for about 12 years, and your brain can't remember things. Okay, so we were just thinking about. I'm not even talking about, like, you know, whatever horror movies that I think deserve respect. You know, like the original Omen is a classic.
Yeah.
Day of the Dead. The Orphanage.
Rosemary's Baby.
Was one of those that I think Rosemary's Baby, yeah, but that's such a mind fuck again. Like, you're not seeing anything. Hellraiser is just like a borderline snuff film.
See, now, okay, that was a series of movies. That's like a piece of horror time that I like to go in, just like Hellraiser, and then after that, because it's basically what's the craziest thing we can think of, and then let's just let it go. You know, it's like that's when Krueger came out. It was Hellraiser. They had those fucking Leprechaun movies. It's just like, let's just see what we can throw on the screen to kill people in interesting ways, you know?
Well, I mean, okay, like, gotta give credit where credit's due. Hellraiser was, like, a short story from this writer, Clive Barker.
Really?
Yeah, who's responsible for, like, Candyman. I think that was a short story, too, in, like, the Books of Blood or something. I read a bunch of his books when I was younger, and he's just a twisted fuck. Like, all this stuff, like, it's all, like, torture, like, you know, like, homoerotic, like, torture. Not just that, but, I mean, there's, like, just super sexual and dark and super descriptive. But really, that's a fantastic mind. And that Hellraiser stuff with the whole puzzle box and the Cinnabites, right? Where were they? Cinnabites. It's like a frosted cereal.
Yeah. Got some Cinnabites for you.
Hey!
All part of this balanced breakfast.
That would have been great. That would have been great. But yeah, all right. Like, okay, just looking at hype machines here, like The Descent. You know, all right. VHS. Was I talking to you about that?
You were talking to VHS. I still gotta try and check out. You said it was like the first volume, right?
Well, yeah. I don't know if there's like 2 or 3 of them now, but in the original VHS movie, you know, they're anthologies. The first one, you know, I won't bother like actually going through and describing it, but that was really, really cool. the first little episode or whatever of that was really, really cool. I've heard people say that You're Next is good. Here's the thing, though. I mean, you never get, like, from horror fans straight across the board, yeah, that was awesome. It's fucking half and half. And I don't know who to trust, Tony.
Yeah. I don't know.
Who do I trust?
I'm scared.
You're just weighing my friendships in horror reviews. I don't know, man. I mean,
it seems like...
What Saw? What did you like the Saw movies?
I mean, I think, like we were saying, as far as that specific moment in time for horror that you were talking about earlier, like when Hellraiser and all that stuff was going on.
Yeah.
It didn't really come back until Saw. So...
Okay.
I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, I think you're onto something.
Yeah, it's just like, let's kill people in interesting ways, you know? But but this time it wasn't as much about... the guy killing people, is just the interesting ways that we're killing people.
Right.
You know, because he was a non-entity. There's this little puppet fucking thing.
Yeah.
The puppet wasn't doing it, and then that's a concept that could also be in a horror movie, like a fucking Chucky. And then, I respect it for that. Like, it tried to bring that era back to an age that it sort of kind of was sleeping, on it a little
But
bit.
didn't it escalated it through the roof though? I mean,
But what else are they gonna do? It's
true.
just like the same thing with Paranormal Activity. They have this concept, and then okay, well, how are you gonna kick it up a notch? It's what you got to do. You got to keep kicking it up. Can't keep it at the same level. It's just gotta. How can we escalate things?
Yeah.
And you can also argue that that's sort of filmmaking in general. When you're doing anything that's in a series, when you're doing anything that's like a trilogy, why is this the climax? Where are you going from here to there?
Right.
And just in the basic arc of a story, we have to keep kicking things up. You have to keep the controversy. You got to keep the audience interested. And for horror, it's one element that does it. It's just the people dying.
Right. Yeah.
There's not. You can have psychological horror and all that stuff, and that sort of makes it a little more complex. But I feel like with the basic genre, it's hard to deal with that, because this is what we're working towards. How do we come up with something different and interesting for it?
Yeah. That in itself, it's an endeavor, that I'm sure only the bravest have to really sort of face. How do I scare the shit out of people?
You really gotta just love it.
The mighty have fallen, though. If you think about it, if you go back to these guys, with the exception of maybe like the Raimi horror renaissance with, what you talked about earlier with Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah.
Carpenter, just, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Some guys lose their luster for it, even like campy horror. Joe Dante, like one of my favorites from the 80s. Gremlins, Burbs.
Gremlins.
Oh, yeah. But Gremlins 2 was like it for him. Like that came out, and I think Warner Brothers was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, we're done.
And then I think he made like Small Soldiers. I don't know.
But I really liked Small Soldiers.
Did you?
I love that movie. I'm Arthur, emissary. I'm Archer, emissary of the Gorgonites.
Nice.
Soldier. I loved every part of that. Man, it had that one kid. I forget what his name was. The main dude, and Kirsten Dunst, the young Kirsten Dunst.
A
in
very
Small
young
Soldiers.
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really dug that movie as a kid. Just like moving toys, and then like the toys would come out and they look just like the movie because they're fucking toys.
Well, that in itself was a reason to watch that movie for
Yeah.
me, because it was right.
Fucking Jay Moore was in that.
Was he the sales?
Yeah, he was
pushy
the
salesman guy?
sales guy. He's the one. Put the military chips into him. I don't care. But they're made for shooting missiles at children in another country. Do it. We need to make money.
Dude. David Cross is in there.
Yeah, David Cross was the one who designed the toys. Like Jay Moore came out with they were partners, right? This is the premise for it.
Okay.
They were partners in Toy Soldiers. It was Jay Moore and David Cross. They both come to pitch two different series of toys. One is the actual Toy Soldiers. I forget if they had like a name, because I know it was the Gorgonites and then whoever the actual soldier guys were.
Right.
So it's David Cross is pitching these like monsters that are really sort of earthy, and they're peaceful,
Right.
and they got nothing else going on, but they look like monsters. And then Jay Moore's guys are just a bunch of badass soldiers, like beefed up. That's exactly what happened at the time too. What year did this fucking movie come out? 1998.
Yeah.
All throughout like the late 80s and then the early 90s, just whenever you had a boy cartoon that was about badass, just big beefy fucking dudes,
Yeah.
And that's what the soldiers were. So there's just these guys that are crazy. I think one of them was like smoking a cigar, and he was a demolitions expert. And one of them was the straight cut main commander. And then it's like, all right, let's pit them together, and then let's put these crazy military grade chips inside their brains, which also makes them alive somehow.
Yeah. That was
This like
in the 90s. It was just about chips.
Yeah.
You had a chip, you were good to go. It could do whatever you
future.
needed it to do. Yeah, well, right, because you're right, because they flipped it sort of, they made the monsters the good guys and whatever.
Yeah.
But that was the way I played with G.I. Joes anyway. Like, I was always Cobra. You know what I mean? Like, these guys were a bunch of douchebags.
They looked cooler.
They had the masks.
Yeah.
I didn't know what they looked like. Like, this is awesome.
Didn't the Cobra have better like vehicles too?
Oh, did they have better fucking everything?
Yeah.
They really did, dude. Like, G.I. Joe had snake eyes. But that was it.
That thing.
But yeah, dude, Small Soldiers, like, I'll give it to you. And I'm trying to look up this kid that you're talking about. Jacob
for-
Smith.
Oh, for Small Soldiers, what was it? He's gonna come up right here on the top. It's Gregory Smith.
Gregory Smith.
Alan Abernathy, Gregory Smith.
Hell is-
Looks like he's had some rough times on his IMDb page. If you listen to this and decide to go check out Gregory Smith, man, what happened?
Oh boy.
He kind of reminds me of Edward Furlong here, you know, like where he's a pretty good looking kid and then grows up just being an actor in a certain time period. All you do is just drugs because you've got money and you're young. Why not, you know?
Yeah, divorce your parents.
Yeah.
Once again, sadly, I'm older than this guy.
You're older than Gregory Smith? 83.
A couple months. Actually, exactly 2 months.
Exactly 2 months.
Yeah.
Gregory Smith.
So now everybody knows how old I am.
Studley is the more senior podcaster.
He's the senior VP of By the Bulb. He gets paid less than everyone else.
But he's still a treat to have around.
Yeah.
He comes and he brings us butterscotch candies.
I'm a smiley, glad-handed sort of guy. Yeah.
I mean, that's just a thing that's going to come up more and more when I see actors younger than me. I'm just like, oh, fuck, man, are you kidding me?
Well, that, dude, and that's weird, right? Like, I remember it was sort of hitting me, like, watching sports, because I'm a big sports fan.
That's where it hit me, was like watching sports guys, and they're like, oh, what, this guy was born in 91? What are you...
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Well, and you have to, like, make that transition, because you're, like, a kid, and you're, like, idolizing these guys that are older than you.
Yeah.
And then you, like, I'm cheering for somebody that's not half but younger than me. It's like, I still respect you, guy.
Yeah. But you're a little Judy.
And if I were like, if I were 8, 9, I'd idolize you. But gotta draw the line somewhere. It's harder than you think.
This child.
Yeah, but, I guess the thing about getting old. But like you said earlier, man, like some of these kids that get caught up in this stuff, acting, get a little success earlier on. I think there's something to be said about having success later on in your life, maybe.
Yeah.
You appreciate stuff a little bit more, because you're right, man. You're looking at this guy and the movies he's done, and oh boy.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. I definitely, it could sound like an excuse, but I'm glad that I sort of know who I am before I actually build whatever career I have. And that's something that doesn't really happen in America, I feel like. It's this country, you're young, you have to figure out what you're going to do as a career, and you got to fucking do it. You got to be 22 and already 2 years into whatever you're going to do for the rest of your life.
I think you're right for the most part, but I think that sort of like with our generation, it became a little bit more acceptable for people to sort of take their time.
Yeah.
Certainly, I mean...
you're right. It seems like it's sprouting up a little more, especially with, I can't even say it because it sounds so ridiculous.
What do you
it's just because of the economy.
The economy.
The economy, what it is. I mean, people are, they're living at home for longer, and they're going to college later and figuring out what exactly they want to do.
Getting married later,
having kids later. It's just, but that's all. I think that's all pretty good stuff. That's a good advancement for the society as a whole. People don't even be having kids at 18, 20 years old anymore. And then people who do, if anyone's listening, that is like in that situation, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's easier for you to be a little older before you start having kids and stuff. To establish yourself.
Totally.
So you don't got to dedicate everything that you are to keeping this child alive.
Well, there's no rush. It's not like, oh my God, you're 18? Will you get knocked up already? Jesus. Will you drop out of high school?
Yeah.
Come on. You're right, and we're benefiting from that. I mean, I've heard lots of times, especially as I was getting older, like, oh man, the 30s are the new 20s.
Yeah.
I don't really buy it. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, it's totally true, because it's like, 20s actually kind of suck. like,
you don't know what you're doing.
No.
You just kind of have an idea about it, and you think you're a person, but really you're just an asshole.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, okay, now I can drink and stuff, and I can go and do whatever I want. I'm self-sufficient, In a way, well, I guess if you're living with your parents, you're completely self-sufficient. But, you don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
It's just, you're waiting for, like, some sort of, like, growing up moment, like, lesson to learn, pretty much.
Doesn't happen.
I've had a couple.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like every year that I am existing in, I'm thinking, okay, I understand this now. I get this now. I kind of have a hold on things. And then a Euro's going to pass, and then I'm going to look back on that guy and think, God, what an asshole. I'm just wondering what year, how old am I going to be before I look back and think, all right, that's when I wasn't an asshole anymore, you know? That's when I understood some things, but it just hasn't happened yet. I'm 26 years old, still have no fucking clue, but I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, dude, no, I mean, see, but that's the thing, like, you're a humble individual. You're not fucking running around shooting your mouth off about shit. Like, I don't hear you. I mean, you talk shit about people, but you always have a valid reason. Like,
I think I do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I don't know if you're just selling me on it, but at the end of it, I'm like, yeah, that's.
I'm not a great salesperson.
You got a good point there. Then you're just being genuine, and I'm just agreeing with you. But like, I don't know, you'd be all right. But like, some people, you know, they get a little too big for their britches.
Yeah.
Or just go into something like so headstrong and end up fucking up. I know we ended up getting philosophical here, but
yeah, we do. This is the more interesting tangent. This is what happens when you drink beer throughout a conversation. Things get to a place and you're just like, well, what really is?
Yeah. Well, and see, yeah, some people got the bar and we got the bulb.
Yeah, we've got the bulb. Buy the bulb.
Buy the bulb.
That's the name of the thing. Just you didn't know.
This light bulb keeps giving me beer.
Yeah.
It's a magical thing you guys stumbled upon, and I'm happy.
You need to write that story, and then the light bulb turns on you.
Giving you too much beer.
You thought I was your light, but I'm really your darkness. Oh.
Yeah, seriously. 4 more podcasts, we're just going to be staring at each other.
This is someone getting ready to grab a knife and just go off.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I guess like we were talking about having this conversation about the horror movies and stuff, and I guess the more I talk about it, the more I'm just like, man, I'm just sort of being a prick. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my problem. People change.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's not completely. It's understandable, right? Because you want things to sort of cater to you as you age. You want things to age with you.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's something that's a lot more common in all kinds of things now. Like children's films. You look at the Toy Story series. I grew up with that kid, basically.
Yeah.
I grew up with those movies, and then they age those things to cater to a specific generation. Yeah, they still apply, and that kid can watch Toy Story 3 and still like it.
Right.
But it's, you feel like that's mine.
It's a lot deeper. Yeah.
And I feel like you kind of want that with even things like just genres. You want a genre to be a certain level because you're at a certain place in your life.
Yeah. That's with horror. It's probably too much to ask.
Yeah, and it's cause it'd be too difficult with horror, man. I definitely have a lot of respect for horror and people that are super into it. That's great. I definitely have an interest in it, but I'm not as dedicated as most people. Like, I think you definitely have a lot more invested in horror than I do.
Well, like I said, I think I'm just chasing something. It's just important to me. Like, I really like it. I just like the entertainment factor of it. But to me, like, going forward, like, whereas, if I'm sitting there and, you and I are 13 years old or whatever, we're like, oh, man, I'm just going to scare the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
But now it's more like, I want some stuff to be scary and shocking and gross, but I also want it to be sort of funny.
Yeah.
Like, because this is entertainment. It's not like...
Yeah, because you want a complexity to it. But, I mean, horror as a whole is kind of a, people are going to hate me. If anyone actually listens to this thing, they're going to hate me for saying this. But it's a genre that caters towards a juvenile mentality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. And I think that's why a lot of elements in horror are what they are. That's why promiscuity leads to death. That's why, you get killed for doing something stupid. It's, learn these fucking lessons, you little idiot. I don't know.
Yeah, dude, I no argument there.
Yeah.
But, just like the same sort of silly music I listen to, like... It's like there's a part of me that'll always sort of be like that. Like, all right, like I've got this hard rock, like white boy teenage angst from the suburbs, and I still like horror movies. So maybe it's just like like with the some people like we're talking about comic book movies, right? You talk to some people that were into comics when they're younger, and now they're adults or whatever, and they're just like, man, fucking grow up.
Yeah. I mean, okay, but I want to just make it clear that I'm not saying that if you're an older man and you're into these things that you're an idiot for still liking that.
I was not trying to drive you towards an apology.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I just want to make it clear that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it caters to a certain mentality, but you don't have that mentality if you still enjoy this. You just want it to be more complex. That's why I think you got sort of a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Yes, I do. Yeah, you're right, man. What can I say?
Yeah.
Just fucking read me like a book.
What can I say? I just turned into a fucking.
You want to break me down?
Turn into a yogi. It's not your fault.
What?
I think between the two of us, though, you definitely have more of the Robin Williams with the beard hair going on.
Yeah.
And I definitely look a lot more like the Matt Damon with the baby face.
And you'd be like, what are you saying with this Batman picture? Huh? What are you gonna... Some sort of complex? You're gonna come out of the night?
You realize this is you, right?
Yeah, you're trying... Just some lonely asshole in tights.
Being a lonely asshole in tights. That guy's interesting, at least. I'd like to talk to him.
Right? What, would your parents die or something? Huh? Would they leave you?
They put you in ballet?
Yeah.
You want to go for football, but your mom said no, it's ballet. She wanted a little girl, didn't she? Didn't she?
Ballet! Yeah. Yeah. Fucking, I don't know, dude. I just, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll keep chasing it. Or, if anything,
I mean, there's, I think it's, I don't know, I don't want to say, I mean, we're still from the same point in time where we sort of look back on things, and our generation really loves nostalgia.
oh, yeah, it's a problem.
All about it. You know,
Yeah.
I find myself going through, it's almost like a drug. It's like going down a K-hole, but for
Yeah.
for just watching some shitty cartoon that you
You
loved
get
as
this
a kid.
feeling in your brain, like, yeah.
I've very recently, I've binged through Dragon Ball Z because I have every single episode.
Dude.
I own it, and I can still watch it. And I know it's terrible. I know things about what makes a story good and what was formulaic about it, but I'll still watch that. And I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see Goku kick Frieza's ass again. Yes.
Right.
Oh, he's gonna turn into a Super Saiyan. It's gonna be so great. You know, it's just, as a generation, we love nostalgia. I think a lot of that comes from the internet, just the access to it, you know?
Right, like, I don't know how well I'd be able to remember a lot of this stuff.
If you weren't able to just do a Google search and like, oh, I know everything about this now. I can tell you who wrote it. I can tell you who acted in each part. I can tell you what episode is the name of that episode that was my absolute favorite. You know, it's so much information at your fingertips, and all you really want to do is go on IMDb and see who was the name of that who was that fucking background, who voiced Bebop and Steady in the original animated Ninja Turtles movie. Because you can, and that's not necessarily a bad way to spend your time. Maybe there are more productive things you could be doing, but who the fuck cares? Do what you want, man. I don't know.
Yeah, like, even when I was growing up, like, my mom would just, like, I remember on the weekends, we'd watch Three's Company.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, man, Mom, why do you like this? And I loved it, whatever. But she's like, it's just mindless television. It's mindless television. And the thing is that, like, the stuff you're talking about cartoons and going back and watching that shit.
Yeah.
You need a mindless something to just fucking not think
that's
about
what
whatever
it is,
the
man.
fuck
you can
is
just turn off your brain.
Yeah.
Because being an adult is scary, folks.
Especially if you're, I don't know, if you're still into that sort of shit, I don't know, it's even more difficult because it's just like, man, I can't just watch cartoons all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you feel so gross about it sometimes if you do it, and you're just like, oh, I
even I really want to.
Yeah.
But you got to get up and roll the sleeves up and fucking make a couple bucks, make life happen.
Yeah. You really do. I don't know. I've definitely gone through my ruts where I've just done that anyway, you know?
Yeah. Oh, people. Well, binge watching, like on Netflix, like they're banking on people that are like, yeah, you're depressed. Like, yeah, there you go.
You spread out these episodes. You can get it done in one day. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's just a little drug dealers.
Yeah. You want your fix? Here's the whole thing. I know you're gonna OD on it. I don't care.
I want the money up front.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it right out of your bank account. And set it up every month.
Yeah.
OD a little bit.
Oh, that's good.
Daredevil, rip through it.
I'm definitely gonna start watching that. I've just heard good shit about it, man. It's dark, but it's dark in a good way. I think like DC's actually doing a little better with shows, I want to say.
Did you watch Arrow and the Flash and
Arrow, they've got Flash, they got. Well, actually, Daredevil's Marvel. Sorry that I went on that tangent, but I was just saying, going back to what DC's doing right.
Yeah.
They're. I think they're doing better on the TV front that they are, because it's a certain level where DC works. Because if you put too much money into something for DC, then they want it to be about darkness and about gritty realism.
They've always been heavy-handed.
Yeah. And with a TV show, you can make it lighthearted and funny. You can make like basically DC has the same sort of let me see what's the word for it? Not mentality, but kind of like a humor about it that Marvel has with everything.
Right.
You know? DC can be funny if it's a TV show. I think that's what makes Flash... I haven't watched them all the way through, but that sort of makes what Flash and Arrow watchable is that there's like a lightheartedness to it that the movies just don't fucking have.
Well, I feel like they almost have to play that hand because they're, limited so much by a particular budget. You got a superhero, with the Arrow anyway, that doesn't have any powers.
Yeah.
So you're, I think, afforded the opportunity to do that. The Flash, and I haven't seen all of these shows. I watched a few Arrows, and I liked it. And I watched 4 episodes into The Flash, and I like The Flash as a character. I mean, that's DC character that's goofy.
Yeah. But that's
ish.
also, the reason those things are working is probably because those characters themselves are just kind of goofy individuals. I mean, Arrow, from everything that I know about him from, Justice League Unlimited, he's just kind of a funny guy. He says jokes. His name's Ollie, for God's sake. A guy's going to be able to tell a joke if his name's Ollie, right? And then the Flash has just always been the Flash, He's Barry Allen. He says a bunch of ridiculous shit. He's way too cocky, and he's always getting knocked down. But he's the fucking Flash.
He's the Flash. It's great, but I gotta say, you gotta let me know what you think about the Daredevil, because I really think it being on Netflix allows it, it's TVMA, they can bring it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And, hand-to-hand combat and stuff, fucking impressive.
Daredevil, is that actually a Netflix original series?
It is, yeah. It just got picked up for a second season.
Netflix, man, just kicking ass, getting the contracts, getting...
Well, when we graduate, it's one of the places we should probably look for something.
Need a job. How about that?
Yeah.
Netflix. Oh, that'd be great, man. That there's a few things that they have that I haven't really watched, but you hear nothing but good things about House of Cards. Everyone's always raving about that.
It's political.
Show.
That's not my thing. I don't know.
It just doesn't really interest me. Maybe it's the political aspect too. But there are some things that are about that world that I do like, but I guess they're a little more lighthearted. I don't really give a shit about the political the seedy underbelly of the political world. I know it's shitty.
Yeah, right. I'm watching.
I know those assholes all fucking suck, and they're all probably psychopaths.
Yeah.
But what the things that I've really responded to and actually watched are stuff like there was, what was this show? Amazon had this show. It had John Goodman on it, and it was about a bunch of senators in Washington. I forget what Alpha Dogs? Alpha House. I don't know. Let me check it out.
All right.
John Goodman.
Yeah, I know what you mean though with the political stuff. I mean, you're right. That's that it's shitty. As you get older, you're like.
I think it's also because Daily Show and Colbert Report, that's what I'd rather see. I'd rather see that element of it.
They've already got
presented in a comedic way to where I can ingest this information without having to take it too seriously. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, but that's
Alpha House.
That's the best way to deliver that sort of news.
The information. It's a great way to do it for this generation. People need to be paying attention.
But none of us. I can't say that. There's a part of this our generation that is going to war, is at war right now and stuff like that. But there hasn't been a draft, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It hasn't gotten fucking like that. But I don't know. It's not the reason I go to the movies or any stuff like that. So I don't know. I try to get away from it.
I know what you mean. I definitely have views on certain subjects, but like I said, I bullshit most of the time when I'm thinking. I have little bits of information. I expand on that to make it seem like I have a really developed concept. But I have no idea, guys. I'm bullshitting most of the time.
Figuring out as you go.
Yeah, I'm just kind of rolling it with hey, that sounded pretty good. Shit.
Yeah. Well,
I'll definitely check that shit out. All right. Well, I think that's.
You good?
That's a good spot to leave off on. We are at 1 hour and 42 minutes. So.
Oh my god, dude. Oh.
So that's gonna be fun to cut. But as far as the end of the podcast, this is the end. We're gonna sign off now. I'm Tony Gomez.
Brian Studley.
See you next time.
Bye. Holy shit! I didn't realize it was that long.